Do you ever wonder why some couples seem to naturally have a beautiful relationship while other relationships seems to fail? A lot of you feel like the dating water is murky, and today I want to help you. 70% of what makes a relationship work is in the choosing. If you choose the right partner, it's not that the relationship is going to be perfect, but it seems to flow just way naturally. A lot of you ladies has been requesting this video, and from your request to my delivery today, it's all about the ladies who are still single and navigating dating relationships. So there are 5 dangerous type of men, ladies, that I want you to avoid at all costs. Okay, now there's amazing men out there, and it's equally important for you to understand what the healthy qualities are in a man. But today's video, we're focusing on those 5 dangerous things I want you to avoid, especially when you're out there dating, because it's going to be important for you to not choose those things, to steer clear from them. And I'm going to tell you why. The last one I'm going to share, you don't want to miss it, because a lot of women are making this mistake and it's costing them wasted years, wasted time, frustration, the whole 9 yards. Now, some of those 5 traits I'm going to share, they're not all toxic. Some of them are just things that you need to steer clear from. Okay, let's get right into it. The first man I want you to avoid at all costs is the man who is avoiding healing, yet he's craving a bond. Any man who has gone through a very recent, profound life change, whether it be a breakup, a divorce, death in the family, navigating a major change, I don't care what that change is. If it's a significant change, I want you to understand that this person, this man will most likely be in a healing state. Whereas women are usually very reflective, a lot of men has been trained, unfortunately, by society to not really pay attention to their emotion. Right? They're told men don't cry, men don't do this, men. And so it's not natural for them oftentimes to process. Now, I'm not saying all men. There's a lot of healthy men out there who understand the power of taking time for themselves to process what went wrong, what didn't work, before they put themselves out there again. But a lot of men has been trained, and this is why you probably see a lot of men that you meet in those dating apps. Like I hear you ladies telling me all the time, it's like the same quality of men, because a lot of men are trained to take the pain, shove it in a closet, like some of you ladies do sometimes, but men mostly so, shove it in a closet and just keep moving forward, and not realizing that those same things that didn't work in the past marriage, the past relationship, that death that happened in the family that they didn't really take time to process, it's going to show up some way, somehow. And seeking attention doesn't account for the healing that's necessary, right? For this big major life change that just took place in their lives. And so the woman that they're seeking the attention from is now in a position where they're not really feeling properly aligned, properly loved or cared for, because this person who should be healing is now trying to heal through you. Okay, so any guy that has gone through a major life change, sometimes you might find them looking for your attention, looking for your time, looking for to fill that void that they're feeling. And it's your job to identify why he's seeking love. Okay, we're going to get a little deeper into it, but that's the first guy that I want you to avoid at all costs. Not necessarily because he's toxic, but it's just that sometimes they're seeking for someone to make them feel better about whatever it is that they're navigating instead of sitting with themselves. And you do not want to be in the position, because women are very nurturing, right? You might feel like, wow, he's calling, he's seeking my attention, he wants to spend time with me, but you have to understand why. What's the motive behind it? Is it because this person is really seeking and ready for a relationship, or is it that they're just trying to fill a void? The last thing you want is to be the one that's filling a void, and this person really cannot show up for you in the capacity with the emotional availability that you need, because the love and care, the emotion that should be available to you is actually still tied up with that major life change. Number 2, I call him the unhealed loyalist. Meaning this is the guy who's seeking a relationship, who's out there putting himself in a space where he's looking for a relationship, but really he's in a state where he still regrets the person, the ex, or whatever it was that was in his life. Maybe he didn't treat her well, and now there's a breakup, and now they've separated, and he's still in his mind, he's still processing what he did wrong. Believe it or not, men have hearts too. Okay, and this is the man now who's in a state of processing, and he realized the mistake he's made. You know, there's a lot of men who feel guilty, they feel bad about what they've done, they're reflecting upon what didn't go right in that relationship. But yet, because that relationship didn't work out, maybe the person moved on, the woman moved on, and now they're looking for someone else to bring into their lives, but they're still in that state where their heart's tied to their ex. Okay, they're trying to connect with you, but they're still loyal to that person, because the guilt hasn't left them. So he's seeking companionship, instead of emotional wholeness. Okay. So if there's any guilt, things to look for. If you're having a conversation with a man, you're on a date with a man, you're getting to know him, and you notice that he's constantly processing his ex, constantly processing his past relationship, bringing forth things that didn't go right, and saying things like, I still care about them. And that's a big red flag, because that person's heart should be fully ready to engage you. Do not let a man use your date as a space for him to process his past. And one way you'll know is if he's not asking you any questions. He keeps talking about himself, processing his past, sharing things with you, especially if you're a great listener. And now this is specifically for the women who has worked with me. If you have gone through our programs and you are now operating with emotional intelligence, with your feminine energy, you're going to start drawing in a lot of men, because your energy now is aligned to masculine men. Okay. And so it's going to be so important for you to identify it, especially this from all my past clients who are now in a space where they're attracting a lot of guys because their energy is aligned. You want to make sure that you're not picking. It might be a great feeling to be in a space where you're attracting someone, but you have to identify who is ready for love and who is just trying to heal. Okay. Your energy is going to attract both types of men: a masculine man who's drawn to your love, and also a man who needs to heal, because your energy, that beautiful feminine energy that you're not tapping into, is also healing to both men. So you have to be very cautious as to how you're choosing. Now, this feminine energy now is beautiful, but it comes with a responsibility, and you have to also know how to screen. And for those of you who's worked with us, you have access to the My Ideal Husband workbook. You already know how to pick correctly. And for those of you who's watching this and you have not yet already tapped into our program, you don't have access to the video guide, you don't have access to our workbook, you don't know how to tap into your feminine energy, this is your chance to enroll. The link is in the description box. Number 3, the purposeless man. This is a man that still has a void on the inside of him. He's not a bad person, but he's in a state right now where he's trying to figure out what his purpose is, what he's called to. He might be in a transition. He might be doing well financially, but if he has a void where he feels like he's not where he wants to be, the last thing you want to be is to try to fit yourself into his life right now. Because I'm telling you, most men who are not fulfilled within themselves, who are not walking in their purpose, who's not happy with where they are in life, even if they may put themselves out there into the dating world, they won't be able to show up fully. Because one of the things that allows a man to show up most authentically, and as a pursuer, as a provider, as a leader, as the person who's really going to show up in the best way for you as a woman, is the man who is fulfilled on the inside. If there's a big void and he's still trying to figure out his path, the best thing you can do is to give him the space to figure it out for himself. Again, as a nurturing person, especially as a loving woman, as a nurturing woman with a good heart, sometimes you try to help. And it's not that your help is not needed, but remember, in a relationship, especially in a marriage, once you get there, you're going to be a helpmate. But there must be something for you to support him with. And he has to have something solid figured out for you to support him with. Even if you're in his life, you may find that he's not fully present. If you're seeing a strain, if this is your man currently, you're dating someone in that capacity, or you've met someone in that capacity, you might find strain in the relationship. And that's because of it. It's going to be hard for a man to love you properly and fully, all the while trying to figure himself out. Now, I'm not talking about married couples who are in a place in their lives where, they're in a transition. That's a whole different conversation. But if you're meeting someone for the first time and you realize that they're not where they need to be, give them space to figure their lives out. Because let me tell you this, the woman that he would choose when he's his whole filled, purpose-driven self would look different than the woman that he chooses while he's in the trenches. And the last thing you want is for him to choose you now and then later on realize you're not what he needs, because he's in a whole different mind space. Number 4. Now, this is contrary to number 1, because number 1, we spoke about how a man is like, he's not even open to healing. He doesn't even know he needs healing and he's just seeking connection. Number 4 is the opposite, because it focuses on the man who knows he needs healing and he's seeking you out because he desires to heal. He's looking for a safe space. He's looking for someone to make him feel better. He's looking for someone to take care of the pain that he's endured, because he understands there's power in a feminine woman's presence. And he's coming to you not to give, not to provide, not to lead, not to pour into you, but to receive the healing from you. He's not avoiding the healing, but he's only here to take from you. These are the kind of men who's going to be selfish. They're only going to operate out of their own needs. They need love, they need affection, they need to feel cared for. They're healing a wound and they're using you for that. If you're a woman who hasn't yet been healed and you're in a space where you just want attention and love and you're craving for connection, the moment you meet such of a man, it may feel like this is authentic love, but you have to know how to really identify, well, he may want my love, but what is he pouring back into me? Okay, you do not want to be in a space where you're just the giver. You take the masculine role of giving, over pouring, over loving, and this man is just sitting there receiving all that love and not really stepping in to the capacity that he should be as a man as well. Because remember, love is reciprocal. Remember, men are wired a certain way. Okay, and if you don't understand that, it's going to be very important for you to really realign yourself, because this is going to be one of the biggest reasons why you find yourself in a very hurtful, time-wasted relationship with someone who never was meant to really take you to the next level, to engage you, marry you, be with you, because he was only here to take. And this is a great segue into number 5, which is being with a misaligned man. The man who is not aligned to the Ephesians 5 capacity that God has for you. Do you know that there's an ideal man that God has for you? It's important for you to know what you want. That's one level of it. And for those of you ladies who feel that my ideal husband workbook, you see how powerful that workbook is. But the second level is to also know what God wants for you. What's his ideal for you? And if you don't know what that looks like, you will most likely make the mistake of being with someone who doesn't reflect the very best for you. If you want to know what that looks like, you must read Ephesians 5. There's very beautiful and powerful language in there that shows you God's heart for you. He wants you to be with a man who is sacrificial. He wants you to be with somebody who's going to put your needs above his own. He wants you to be with somebody who's going to choose you. He wants you to be with somebody who's going to care for you. Just like he came here and he sacrificed himself for you and he's showing up for you. This is how he expects for your spouse, the person who's pursuing you. He wants him to have that same heart. And that person has to be submitted to Christ. If he's not submitted to Christ, even if it was to lead to marriage, there's no way you're going to be able to submit under someone who's not submitted to Christ, because there's order. A man who is submitted to Christ is going to be so aligned, so clear-minded, so pursuit level-headed. His flesh won't be what chooses for him. And there's a lot of men who can't even identify you as their wife. They cannot love you properly. They cannot lead you. They cannot even show up for you. They cannot put your needs above their own because their flesh is speaking. They're making decisions from their flesh. They're making decisions from their lust. They're making decisions from what they desire, and they're not submitted. If a man's flesh is louder than his spirit, if his flesh leads his soul, which is his mind, his will, and his decisions more than his spirit influences his soul, this person is not ready to love you accordingly. And this is why, ladies, you must pray for your future spouse. You must pray for the person who's going to come into your life. You want this person to be so submitted, that his flesh is so dead, that his spirit is so heightened with God, that when he sees you, he identifies you, because the Holy Spirit has been training his spirit. Okay, so I hope this video was helpful to you. A lot of you ladies voted on our Instagram stories that this is the episode you wanted us to record next. Once again, thank you so much for always sharing your feedback, your insight, what you want to see, because my goal, my focus is to support you exactly where you are. And for those of you who voted for the other topics, I promise they're coming, but I'm simply recording them in the order in which you voted. Tell me what resonates with you. Tell me what you've experienced. If you have experienced any of those 5 things I've shared with you, let me know. If you prefer to write me personally, you can always send me a message, email, Instagram, comment, whichever way. I'm always going to engage with you, because to me, this is a relationship. I like to talk to you. I like to hear from you. I like to connect with you. It's never a one-way street. You can always talk back to me. I actually love hearing back from you, ladies and gents. So have an amazing night. Until next episode. God bless.